Okay, Hot D, let's talk. So, Damon has spent the majority of season 2 in Luigi's mansion. That man has been having nightmares and night terrors the entire time. Not only that, he's been stalked by a spooky witch woman. And for the most part, we did not know the direction that this character arc was going to take us. What exactly were these visions and this walk through memory lane attempting to show us in regards to not only Daemon Targaryen, but also in regards to the messages that the werewoods and the old gods were essentially trying to tell him? We finally got the answer. The culmination is Daemon essentially seeing the entire future of his line. He sees the death of all of the current dragons. He sees Rhaenyra sitting on the throne. He sees someone who I'm assuming is Jon Snow, but I could be absolutely wrong. It does seem as though it's a Stark, at least from the bottom pieces of the armor that's walking through blood, and then the blood turns into water, and Daemon himself is falling deep uh beneath the surface of an ocean or a lake into the darkness. And then we see Daenerys post burning of Khal Drogo sitting there with her three dragons that she has essentially birthed once again into the world. Here is the problem. We all remember how season 8 ended. And I understand what HBO was essentially trying to do here, which is you're attempting to do a little bit of Daenerys Targaryen revisionism, where you're trying to remind us about the bright spots by having Rhaenyra have these parallels to Daenerys, and then at the exact same time showing how strong and how the women of the Targaryen line were essentially consistently, no matter the age, done wrong. They all are. However, we all still remember the end of Daenerys' story, where she basically gets ganked by Jon Snow in the throne room once she sits upon the Iron Throne. And it still remains a point of contention in the community, where I really feel as though the reason that the last two books have taken this long is because George R. R. Martin kind of gave like this framework where he was just like, yeah, it's gonna be Jon Snow who's Azor Ahai, and Daenerys is not gonna make it out of the thing. Like she's going to die in the last book. And then they were like, Daenerys dies, Jon Snow makes it out, Jon Snow kills Daenerys. We're not even going to attempt to create a villain arc for her in any way, shape, or form. Full steam ahead. And the horrible reception of season 8 is what has essentially delayed it, because now he's gone back and probably rewritten most of the final book in a way to either save Daenerys or lighten the blow of Daenerys' death, and it's become such an issue trying to rewrite that it's just delaying and mucking up everything. That's my headcanon theory as to why George R. R. Martin hasn't released the last I think the one that we're waiting on is Winds of Winter, and then after Winds of Winter, it's A Dream of Spring. It's the reason why we haven't received either of those books, even though they were due 4 years ago. Damon seeing basically what's to come, his own fate. That's acceptable. I'm willing to accept Damon seeing all of his descendants. However, I believe that this should not have only been Daenerys focused. I truly do believe that for this, it really should have shown both Daenerys, and it should have also shown Jon Snow. That we shouldn't have only seen Daenerys, we should have seen Rhaegar, and we should have also seen hints of the Mad King. We should have seen the kid from Duncan Egg. Like, it should have been a journey that Daemon essentially takes down the Targaryen line that ends at Daenerys and Jon Snow. However, the decision to basically have it skip over a big bunch of it where it's just dead dragons, water, I'm dying, the future of the Targaryens, really makes it seem as though Daenerys is way more important to the prophecy than she actually turned out to be in the canon of the show. Because in the canon of the show, Azor Ahai is very much, and I still do believe, Jon Snow. Even though they completely fucked up season 8 by having Arya kill the Night King when that should have been Jon's kill, Jon Snow is the one that I apply the Prince Who Was Promised prophecy to. And that basically has to do with the dream that Daenerys herself has in, Jesus, what was that? Feast of Crows? I think it's Feast of Crows, or maybe it's Clash of Kings. There's a dream that Daenerys has in one of the 2 books where she's in the tower in, it's not in Marine, it's one of the early cities she goes to. The dragons get kidnapped and she goes to the tower. When she's in the tower, she sees visions. She sees visions of Khal Drogo and their son Rhaegal. She has visions of her brother Viserys with the molten gold poured on his head sitting on the Iron Throne. And then she opens up the door and she steps through, and there is the wall. And she sees the wall and she sees the entire thing of ice, and she's never seen it before because she's never been there before. She doesn't know Westerosi culture in any way, shape, or form. And growing out of the wall is it's like a flower, it's like a blue lily. And that blue lily has a connection to, I believe, Jon Snow's mother, because Jon Snow's mother is the one who Rhaegar gives who he crowns the Queen of Beauty, and he gives her a flower of the exact same. And that was supposed to be an indication that, at the wall is essentially Jon Snow, the Prince Who Was Promised. Born, I know it's all like, oh, born underneath like a bleeding star and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. Technically, Daenerys' rebirth underneath the bleeding star, which is the comet, happens when she's adult. Jon Snow, if it maintains true that Eddard Stark, when he killed Arthur Dayne, took up the Sword of Morning, which is made out of a falling star, and set it next to the bed as Jon Snow was being born, then that fits in the prophecy of the fact that Jon Snow was also born in the Beast. See how confusing this shit gets when you choose to make like this one person super important when their long, long, long ago great, 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 great grandfather is having an acid trip that's allowing him to see the entirety of his timeline. Like it gets super, super just frustrating and annoying. The journey that Daemon goes on should have included both Daenerys and Jon Snow. It lightens the blow. By having it only focus on Daenerys, you're putting Daenerys in this position that Season 8 did not give her in any way, shape, or form. Season 8 kind of disrespected Daenerys' entire journey. It disrespected everything about Daenerys' character, and it quickly turned her into the villain and then sacrificed her in order to make Jon Snow the hero again. When Jon Snow was supposed to be the hero by killing the Night King, and then you could have just had them both rule together and continue on their line. So many things wrong with Season 8, but for this finale in particular, I don't believe that trying to revisit or revise the ending that you essentially gave us with Daenerys' character in Season 8 is a good waste of your time. You could be putting that into so many other characters than attempting to save the image that has been ruined for, how long has it been since Game of Thrones Season 8? Game of Thrones Season 8. 5 years. There's no point trying to save a character who's been ruined for 5 years. You might as well just let it go. Let it go and focus on the characters that you currently have on screen. But let me know what you guys think about them basically having Daenerys be at the end of Daemon's acid trip, where it makes it seem as though she is the destined child that the Targaryens are essentially working towards. Comment down below. Let me know. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.